On tap, Dale's Pale Ale.
Better beer with Authority. Better beer.
Hi, I'm James Knott, and this is your Better Beer Authority. Today, we are drinking one of the most famous canned beers in America, besides Budweiser, that is, Dale's Pale Ale from the Oskar Blues Brewery in Longmont, Colorado. Oskar Blues Brewery began as a brewpub in Lyons, Colorado in 1997, and they began canning beers in 2002. Dale's Pale Ale is an American pale ale with 6.5% alcohol by volume and 65 IBUs. It is brewed with European pale malts and 4 kinds of American hops. It won a gold medal at the 2010 World Beer Championships. They claim that the cans are lined with a water-based coating that prevents the beer from touching the aluminum. The cans are supposed to keep the beer fresher by keeping out oxygen and sunlight. And the lightweight cans cut fuel costs and reduce the impact on the environment. Joby, we haven't done a lot of canned beers on the show. We've had Natural Light and Murphy's. What were your expectations with the can?
James, when we pulled this can out of the 6-pack out of the fridge and put it on the table, do some B-roll shooting, I was like, oh great, another canned beer, here we go. It's gonna be your normal skunky, light, kind of malty, irony tasting beer. We pour it, we open it, we pour it, we smell it, we taste it. And I'm impressed, James. There's no way that this taste should be coming out of this can. I don't think I've ever had a can of beer that tastes so good.
Wow.
I mean, it's got a lot of hops, and it's really impressive coming out of a can.
Now, Max, your expectations on the hops, describe all that.
When I first had the glass, I kind of smelled it, had a little bit of a hop smell, and then when I tasted it, I was pretty blown away with the hop character that was in there. It's got a really great amount of like these piney hops. Maybe a little bit of citrus in there, and it even has kind of a sweet backbone. This is a very, very good hoppy pale ale. I would compare this to a Sierra Nevada pale ale as far as the flavor and everything. And coming out of a can, I mean, that's saying quite a bit, I think.
Okay. And then, Scott, I'm tasting this, and I know they're telling me it's a pale ale, but it's so hoppy that I'm thinking India pale ale. I mean, what do you think?
I absolutely agree. I mean, when I taste this beer, it is honestly probably my top beer out of a can as well. I mean, I agree with both of these guys. When we think of other beers that we've had out of, whether it be an aluminum can or, even a mini keg, such as one that we've tasted before, name not to be mentioned, this has no aluminum taste to it. It just has a robust, hoppy character like Max mentioned. With that great, it has a great finish. I mean, overall, for me, this tastes just like an IPA, and I love IPAs. Pale ales are not my favorite beer, and my taste profile has changed.
Does this beer, though, make you recalibrate that statement? I mean, you just said you don't like pale ales, but you like this beer.
Not necessarily, because I think this pale ale is made to a different standard than other pale ales. I think this pale ale kind of takes on its own character, and it takes on its own... it's in its own category. I don't think there are many pale ales that are made like this. As Max mentioned, Sierra Nevada is one that he would compare this to, and I would agree because Sierra Nevada is one of a few pale ales that I really like, and I actually purchased a 6-pack 2 days ago and had a couple of them as well over the holidays, and I enjoyed it a lot, and this is one that I would put in that category.
Okay. Joby, what is your rating?
James, I'm going with an 8 here. We were kind of talking earlier how, I'm starting to go over to the dark side and start becoming a little bit of a hophead, if you will. Starting to like the IPAs, the pale ales, the more hoppier beers. I think doing the show has really broadened my palate and gotten me thinking outside the box of your normal BMC off the shelf stuff. So definitely an 8 here. Again, I still can't believe it's out of a can. That amazes me. Great around overall beer. If we can't get it in Ohio, but anybody out there around the country, if you can get your hands on Dale's Pale Ale, pick it up. It won't be dissatisfied. How about that?
What's your rating, and who should drink this beer?
I'm going to have to go with an 8 as well. As far as who should drink this beer, I think anybody that's looking for beer that has flavor. I mean, especially considering it's out of a can. Usually people will grab a can when they're just wanting to drink a beer and not really are too concerned about the flavor of it. I think this is a solid 8, and I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying that it's a good beer for a beer that's out of a can. I'm saying this is a really good beer in general, no matter where it comes out of.
Do they brew this out of? Can you get this out of the bottle at all? Do you know, or is it
No.
strictly out of a
It's
can?
just in the can.
It's out of a can. In 2002, I think that was a pretty novel idea for a craft brewer to go for a can. And I read at one point that the guy just put it in a can because he thought it would be funny for a very robust beer to come out of a can. So, what is your rating?
I give it an 8. I think it's a great beer. I think that, as Max said, I think for an overall beer, this is a great beer. And honestly, I can see my father is a very stubborn man, and he comes from the old school beer drinkers where if it doesn't come out of a can, he's not drinking it. I mean, we're talking old style, Milwaukee's Beast, and we're not talking Milwaukee's Best Light. I mean, he wants the Beast. I think my dad would actually drink this beer and like it. And this is a great beer.
Max, you do your own beer reviews on YouTube under the name Snobby Beer, and then also under Erratic TV. Tell us a little bit about what you're going for.
Well, honestly, so far, I've reached for more of the crazy kind of huge extreme beers, just because personally I like the excuse to go out and buy these expensive extreme beers, but after drinking this, I'm kind of wanting to tone it back and maybe look for the pale ales and the lagers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I mean, it's always fun when you run across one that is a pleasant surprise,
right? Especially when it comes out of a can.
I mean, for a craft beer, this is a pretty reasonably priced beer, and it can hold its own with most of the really high end stuff. So,
Yeah.
What beers? I mean, give us a couple recommendations that you've drank in the past. I'm just curious because you talked about some of the high end beers or some unusual beers. Can you give our viewers some examples of ones they should try?
If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of Founders Brewing. They have some of the biggest, hugest, craziest beers that I've ever had. I know you guys did the breakfast stout, I believe. But like their KBS, if you can get your hands on it, or their Imperial Stout. I mean, all that stuff. Anything that has Imperial in front of it, I'm usually a fan of.
So you haven't tried Tactical Nuclear Penguin just yet? $100 a bottle.
Not yet.
not yet.
No, nor have I had the Utopias by Sam
Exactly.
Adams.
Yeah, they're
That's
both
like
$100.
$200 bottle.
Okay. Well, tune in to a future episode. We're going to do a one-on-one interview with Max and talk more about his philosophy of beer, and that will be coming up soon. And Dale's Pale Ale gets an 8.0 on the BBA scale. I feel like that's one of the higher ratings we've had in a while. Really good beer. Everyone should go check it out. What's your favorite canned beer? Is Dale's Pale Ale available in your state? Let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'm James Knott, and this is your Better Beer Authority.
Better Beer Authority. Better Beer Authority. Better Beer Authority.